So hello, in this video we will have a practice where we can train what we have learned in the previous videos about different ways of modeling objects. As a result, we will create these three abstract shapes using Boolean modifier, cloner and mesh. Let's start from the first one. We will create this object using Boolean modifier, which means this object will be created as a result of an operation on two objects. Remember we talked about this way of modeling in Spline, but can you already guess which objects and Boolean operation we will be used? So to create this object we need to subtract a sphere from a cube. So let's start. Create a new project and delete this default rectangle. Now let's add our first shape, and as because we're gonna subtract a sphere from a cube, let's add the cube first. Go to plus icon, select cube. And when you add your object to the scene, reset transform, so our object is perfectly centered. Now I'm gonna make this object bigger, so in the size section I will increase it up to 300. Now I'm ready to add the next object. Select plus icon and select sphere. Add sphere anywhere and then reset the transform as well. Now I'm gonna adjust the size of the sphere. I will make it bigger than the cube, for example 350. Now I can select both these objects, check layer panel again to be sure that sphere layer is above the cube, and then in this panel select subtract operation in Boolean modifier section. And now we have our object. All I need to do now is adjust object's properties. For example, I can select the sphere and make it bigger. And in case of cube, I can change the corner radius. And our first object is done. We will return to this object later, so now let's create a new one. Here, where the layer panel, click on plus icon to add a new scene. Here we will draw the next object using cloner. Can you guess which object and cloner type used here to create this object? To create this object, we need a sphere and radial cloner type. Let's start from adding sphere to the scene. I will add a sphere, reset transform and increase size up to 300, but only for Y and Z axis. But X axis I will make 50. It helps me to make my sphere kind of flat. Now, when the sphere object is selected, in this panel turn on the cloner option. I will switch view to isometric, so then it will be better to see what is going on. Now we need to set the cloner option properly. First, switch to radial type, because we need this object to be rotated around itself. Cloner is the best option here. Then press hide base, because we actually don't need to see the original object here. For count, leave default value for now. Radius I will set for 0. And I will turn alignment. And now, in axis row, I can select to which axis I want clones to be aligned. I will go with X. And now I can increase the number of copies. Let's set 12. I still can change shape properties of my sphere to play with the final picture. For example, I can change the X size, so the final shape will be different. I think I like 40. You can have any size you want here. And our object also done. So we already have the object at the scene 1 and scene 2. Let's create the last, third object, mesh object. This 3D shape quite trendy last year, so I'm gonna show you how to create this shape in Spline using subdiv modeling. Press plus here to create new scene. In free version of Spline, you can create maximum 3 scenes. Can you guess from which shape we should start to create this object? If you said a cube, you're right. Add cube to your scene and reset transform. Make it bigger and set corner in the shape section to 0. We need a simple mesh grid, so we don't need rounded corners here. Now convert our cube into the mesh, press smooth and edit button. Now we are in the modeling mode, so we see the grid and this toolbar. To make this object, which has these 6 sprouts, we need extrude these sprouts from every face. So we need select all faces of our cube and then extrude them. So be sure you have selected the face selection tool here and now, while keeping Shift K press, select faces of the cube. If it's hard, you can just select faces like that. When you have all faces selected, press the setting icon and in Extrude and Inset section, select Individual Mode. And now, select Extrude Tool. You will see this blue circle. Now we're gonna pull this circle, but remember, every new movement will create new faces, so we need to move it in a few times. 1, to create this new section, 2, create our sprouts, and 3, to make our sprouts flat in the end. You can press Ctrl Z to undo and repeat the process until you'll be satisfied. As soon as you're done, just close Edit Mode. Now we need to make our mesh object smoother, so increase the subdivision modifier level up to 3. And this is the result. Hope it was simple. After extruding, our model become bigger, so I'm gonna change the size back to 300. So we have 3 objects we created, one with Boolean modifier, one with cloner, and one with subdiv modeling. What's next? Now let's prepare scene and apply some materials. Go to the first scene. I will continue work in orthographic isometric view. I like how this object looks from this direction. First, I will change the background color to the light gray, like that, but you can select any color you want. Then I will turn on ambient shadow. It will make my object look more realistic. And then I'm gonna copy material from the previous tutorial and apply it to my object. For example, I will use this wood material. All I need is just to copy this material from this file and pass material to my shape. And I can add a camera and move the directional light inside the camera, so now, while rotating in preview, object's interaction with light will be more natural. Repeat the same logic for the rest objects, for example, glass for this object and metal for this mesh object, or vice versa. Also try to play with the light position, ambient shadow, and lighting settings. This is it. We create a few simple objects, but in the next video we will practice more complex modeling. We will create our first 3D character. See you!